Afternoon everybody, my name's Alex Rathmell. I run a small company called EEVS, which is a centre of expertise in something called measurement and verification, or M&V, which is often a slightly overlooked aspect of the energy efficiency market, energy efficiency industry. EEVS is, we describe ourselves as an information utility, so we're a provider of information services only. We don't provide any consultancy, we don't recommend which sort of products you should buy. We simply concentrate on independently proving the performance or verifying the performance of energy efficiency, more broadly resource efficiency projects. And we do that in line with a set of best practice standards, which I'm going to talk about this afternoon. More broadly than that, our activities are in two areas. One is M&V and another is in market research and market information for the energy efficiency industry. We run a quarterly trends survey, which is where people sometimes know our name from. I'm not going to talk about that today, but if you're interested in that, we have a stand out there with lots of examples of the trends survey and the kind of information that we capture on there. So, good, that works. So, who are EEVS? Why do we exist? Well, as I say, we're not consultants. What we are is a centre of expertise in M&V only, and we're actually the only business in the UK that's dedicated to that. So all we do really in terms of our analytics is prove performance of energy efficiency schemes. The reason we were set up was really predicated on my experience and some of my colleagues' experience in the energy saving industry, and the observation that a real limitation on the growth of that industry in the UK is the relatively poor quality of information, particularly performance information about products and services in this sector. So particularly at the moment there is a trend towards attracting investment and finance towards energy efficiency as a way of yielding a return, as an investment opportunity. Really, there aren't any other investment classes that we can think of where the actual quality of information is as poor as it is in this space. And what we mean by that is that suppliers of products and services can really say what they like about the performance of those products and services without any consensus on how they should be held to account for those claims. So our view was that there was an opportunity to address that in the UK, and our mission that we've taken upon ourselves really is to try and make the energy saving space a more attractive place to invest by making sure that saved kilowatt hours are seen as just as valuable or more valuable as clean kilowatt hours that you might have generated with a wind turbine or something like that. So that problem has been identified by much bigger brains than ours in all sorts of studies over the last few years. Some of them are up there, but most recently in the energy efficiency strategy that came out of DEC quite recently, where the fact that the energy saving market is quite embryonic and the information quality is quite poor were actually two of the key barriers to its development that were identified. So that very much sort of is our perception as well. So we've narrowed it down to sort of two key problems really, if you like. One is that the industry is a little bit like the Wild West. You can say what you like about your performance. The other is that actually there isn't a lot of consensus among energy managers or anybody else active in the space about what an energy saving really is. If I compare my bill this month to my bill the previous month, and it turns out that it's gone up, does that mean that any energy saving measures I might have deployed were unsuccessful? Well, it might mean that, or it might just mean that the weather's changed, or that the building's being used differently, or one of any number of other factors has taken precedence over that energy saving that you thought you'd made. So we approached this when we were looking at the opportunity a few years ago and thought, well, this can't possibly be a new problem that's never been experienced anywhere in the world before. And sure enough, there is an entire discipline of engineering, if you like, around measurement and verification, and a set of standards and protocols that have been developed primarily in the United States, where the energy services market is more developed, shall we say, in some respects than it is here. So what we call M&V, which is the name that we use for this whole concept, is really the process of isolating an energy saving from all of the other various factors that cause energy use in a real building to vary. So that could be as simple as the weather and how hot or cold it is outside. It could be the occupancy of the building, or it could be any number of nebulous factors due to the behaviour of human beings in that particular building. But crucially, what we're doing is disaggregating all of those things that change from the energy efficiency intervention that's gone into the building. And there is a standard, or more accurately a protocol, that tells you how you should go about doing that. That again, was developed about 20 years ago in the States, but quite a new thing to the UK. And that's something called IPMVP, which is the International Performance Measurement and Verification Protocol. A very long name for something very sensible. And we were actually the first qualified practitioners in IPMVP in the UK, and we're now the largest team of independent practitioners in this standard in Europe. We're starting to see more recognition of that among the energy management community, shall we say, in the UK. There's a body called ESTA, which is the trade association for the energy efficiency industry, which has adopted IPMVP and is now responsible for training practitioners in the UK. So we're seeing awareness of it as a standard starting to grow. It will have the status of an ISO standard within a few years as well. Which means that overall there is a move towards making the energy efficiency sector hopefully a more investable place. What we do at EEVS is take it a step further and say that actually, as well as ensuring compliance to the standard and ensuring that best practice is followed, it's actually a good idea if the person doing the evaluation of an energy saving project is separate and independent from either the people delivering the saving or the customer who is receiving the saving or getting the benefit of the saving, if you like. So we provide independent measurement and verification, which also removes that effect of vested interests from an energy saving project. So essentially we focus on end clients, corporates, public sector clients who need to understand the performance that they're getting from energy saving suppliers. We work increasingly in energy performance contracting, which is a rapidly developing area in the UK and also in certain other parts of Europe. And that's essentially where every avoided kilowatt hour from an energy saving scheme has a value that's used to pay the entity that's delivered those savings. I've got a slide on that in a second. And we also work on behalf of energy efficiency technology vendors and equipment suppliers who use independent verification of their own performance as a sales tool essentially, and voluntarily submit their projects to independent scrutiny as a way of proving the claims that they make about their own performance. So the evaluation process that we use is essentially in two parts, and it's very important that it's in two parts. So we've got a very, very simple flowchart here that's showing how an energy efficiency project might be implemented. You would start by auditing the building or the site, working out where you could make savings, and then you would implement those measures. What we're proposing is that you introduce two additional stages into that process. One is to baseline the energy use of that building before you go ahead and implement anything. So before anybody turns up and changes the lights or fits a voltage optimizer or whatever it is that you're going to do, that you should understand why energy in that building varies and build what's called an M&V plan, a measurement and verification plan, to commit everybody who's involved to a methodology for proving the savings in that project. Then you should go ahead and do the project, and at some pre-agreed point afterwards, or possibly several points, you should use your plan to work out how much energy use you've avoided by putting in those energy saving measures. So not just looking at this month's bill compared to last month or this year compared to last year, but actually following the plan to disaggregate the effect of your savings interventions from everything else that causes energy use to change. And you might do that annually over a 12-year project, and that's the sort of project that we're engaged on at the moment. Once you've got that data, of course, it starts to get really interesting as to what you can do with it. If you've consistently collected performance data about the same project replicated many times, you can start to compare and contrast different suppliers, different types of technology, and for the first time you start to build up a database of consistently evaluated project data. So just a quick illustration of what it might look like. Have I got a pointer? Yes? So I don't want to bore you with a load of data unless you're into that sort of thing, in which case come and see us, because so are we. But the top chart here is what your M&V plan might consist of. So you've got a load of red data here, which are real energy readings from the meter, in this case the electricity meter, that covers the site that we're looking at. What our analyst has done